So chapter 6 is Dhyana Yoga, as we have been discussing. Dhyana Yoga, the chapter which talks a little bit in detail about how yogis, by controlling their mind and completely detaching from sensory activities and making the mind peaceful, they practice meditation, and finally they attain perfection through meditation. So they essentially meditate on the Paramatma, the super soul within the heart. So in the shlokas 28 to 32, Krishna talks about realization of the Lord as Paramatma. How perfected yogi sees Krishna in everyone's heart as Paramatma, and he also sees Krishna everywhere and everything within Krishna. Therefore, he sees all living beings equally, because when they look at all living beings, they are looking at Paramatma inside the living being. Therefore, they are not disturbed by the external differences. So, every living being, the body of every living being is actually the temple of the Lord. And therefore, they truly offer respect to all living entities as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So, just to brush up at the last shloka that we covered, shloka 31, Sarvabhutasthitham yomam bhajati ekatvam asthitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. So Krishna is saying, such a perfect yogi who worships the Supreme Lord as Paramatma, and knowing that I, that is Krishna, and this the super soul or Paramatma are the same. They are one and the same. Such a yogi will remain in me, that is in Krishna, in all circumstances. That means he is never lost to the Lord. That means he never forgets the Lord. So in the shloka 32, Krishna now continues. Atma Atmopamanyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo matah. So he's saying, who is the perfect yogi? It is he who actually sees all living beings on an equal term, truly, not externally or not in fake sentiment. Because in today's day and age, in today's world, people like communists, they try to artificially make everyone equal. They try to put everyone on an equal footing, and but it will eventually fail. But this is not that kind of a equality. So this is true equality, and in both their happiness and distress, no matter what the living beings, in what kind of a situation they are in, the yogi never fails to see they're all in an equal footing by comparing them to his own self. So Atma means with his own self. Aupamyena. So by comparison. So in Sanskrit, the word upama means to compare. Upamana, upameya. That means when two things are compared, so just like when you say as bright as the sun. So something, some light may be looking as bright as the sun. So the standard of comparison is the sun. Therefore, here the yogi is comparing with his own self. Sarvatra means everywhere. Samam pashyati. He sees equally. Wherever he sees equally. Yaha, who? Such a yogi. Arjuna, sukham va yadi va dukkham. Whether these entities are in happiness or in distress. So yogi, sukha, dukha, we know, same, happiness or distress. Paramaha mataha. Such a yogi, paramaha means he is topmost or he's the perfect. Mataha means he's considered. So who can be such a yogi, a perfect yogi? Only one who is completely devoted to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Because he has already stated this in the previous two verses. Because in the shloka number 30, Krishna explicitly said, Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati. Whoever sees me in everything and sees everything in me, for such a person, I'm never lost to him. That means he can never forget me because he's constantly seeing me. And I will also never forget him because he's always remembering me. And then immediately in the next shloka, that is the 31st shloka, Krishna now clarifies why this person is seeing Krishna everywhere, because he's seeing Krishna or the super soul, the Paramatma in all living beings. And now that he has realized Krishna is Paramatma. And because he's seeing the Paramatma in all living beings, he is not disturbed by the external circumstance of the living being. It could be the external body. Let's say somebody is beautiful, or someone is ugly, or someone is a animal, or somebody is a bird. Whatever be the external situation, or someone is in a very opulent state of mind, a state of being, means somebody is very rich and therefore they're very happy. Not in all cases, but just generally. Or if someone is very poor and is not happy. So a perfect yogi will never make any distinction. That is never possible in this world, because our perception is always colored or affected by the externals. So artificially, we cannot claim that, oh, we love everyone, because people make such statements and they're really baseless. Because can we say that, oh, I can love even mosquito, even though it's biting me? Or can I say that I love even snakes? I can give it a hug too. So it is quite absurd, because it's not possible to see equality, on an external level, gross level. But because a yogi is actually seeing that every living being is a spirit soul, irrespective of what body or what external situation he is in. And so the spirit souls are not the same. They're all different individual spirit souls. But what makes them come to an absolute equal footing is the Paramatma inside their heart. Now, Paramatma is the same in every living being. So, the spirit soul is not the same. Sometimes people take even that. Spirit soul, they come to a wrong conclusion because of such shlokas in Bhagavad Gita. When it is taken out of context, then people tend to misunderstand. They think, oh, see, yogi is seeing everyone equal because all Atma, they're all the same. Therefore, they're equal. No, it's not the Atma Krishna is talking about. He is talking about himself, the Paramatma. Next shloka. Arjuna Uvacha Yoyam Yogastvaya Proktaha Samyena Madhusudana Edasyaham na pashyami chanchalatva sthiram. So now Arjuna has heard so far that Krishna is talking about how one can control the mind and bring it to absolute equilibrium by restraining the senses, then controlling the breath and so on, and then the yogasanas and or sitting in a right posture and all that. Then finally, one is able to bring the mind under control and focus the mind on Paramatma. But it doesn't seem very practical from people of Kali Yuga's perspective. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita was spoken at the very fag end of Dwapar Yuga. I think I've mentioned this before. Just a very short while before the end of Dwapar Yuga, because so Krishna was also in the fag end of his lifetime that he had displayed on earth. Therefore, this was more so meant. He was exclusively addressing Kali Yuga people, and therefore, it is really impractical for Kali Yuga people to be able to do such a yogasana with exclusivity and with complete isolation and complete mental equilibrium and so on, by giving up all the other family responsibilities. Therefore, Arjuna is merely representing us. It was not that Arjuna was not capable of doing such a yoga, because at the end of this very chapter, Krishna very nicely clarifies and encourages Arjuna, saying that who is the best of yogis? And we can easily understand that Arjuna was in fact the best of all yogis, because he was such a great devotee of the Lord. So now Arjuna therefore is asking, Arjuna said, Yah ayam, this system, ayam means this one, this yoga system that you're talking about, ayam yogaha, tvaya proktaha means you have told, tvaya, by you, samyena means it generally, or it appears. How does it appear? Samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami. Madhusudana means, oh killer of Madhu demon. So every word of Bhagavad Gita and our Shastras are very, very significant. They cannot be taken out of context. At the same time, they'll always have several layers of meanings. So Krishna has innumerable names, and why Arjuna has specifically chosen this name of Krishna? Because he is the killer of enemy or the demon Madhu. So here Arjuna has developed such a doubt, and therefore please kill this doubt of mine. Or mind is also, when the mind is uncontrolled, it is our enemy. That is also stated in this very chapter, actually. Atmaiva bandhur atmanam, atmaiva ripur atmanaha. I think we have already discussed about that. So for a person whose mind is under control, for him, the mind becomes his best friend. Why? Because peaceful mind, which is completely pure, will actually reflect the soul and the super soul, Paramatma. So mind will take us to such heights of realization when it is pure. It becomes completely, it becomes our best friend. So but the same mind becomes our very bad enemy when it is not controlled, when it is unbridled. So it was just let free. Then it will take us to hell, literally. So therefore, Arjuna is addressing here Krishna, Madhusudana. So this, you have killed such a great demon, Madhu. Now, but this mind, which acts like an enemy, because it's very difficult to control the mind, especially for people of Kali Yuga. How can I subdue the mind, O subduer of the enemy? Because you have spoken all this, system of yoga and all this, but it's very difficult to control the mind. So he's saying, etasyaham, etasya, this system, whatever you have told me, aham na pashyami. I don't see this, working. So he's saying, because why? Because chanchalatvat sthitim sthiram. So this appears very impractical and unendurable. Why? Because the mind is chanchala. It's very, very restless and fickle. So it's very, very unsteady. It doesn't remain in one place and it's always moving about. It's very difficult to control the mind. So if we are not able to control the mind, how can we even move forward with this kind of a yoga system? So this appears, pretty impractical for me. So Arjuna is not making any show that he's a very advanced person. Even Arjuna himself, of course, he's representing us, but with so much humility because he is Krishna's very own associate. But Srila Prabhupada would often comment on this. Even though Arjuna thought he could not control his mind successfully, but people of this Kali Yuga, they make a big show of being a big yogi, or that they are doing, they're able to do meditation and all that. So it practically doesn't work. So therefore, he's asking such questions. So shloka number 34. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramathi balavadhrunam tasyaham nigraham manye vayorivasu dushkaram. So in this shloka, he is making it very, very clear the nature of the mind. And this is quite popular, this shloka. So Arjuna says now, Chanchalam hi. Chanchala means flickering, restless. He manaha Krishna. This mind is extremely restless, flickering, O Krishna. And pramathi means agitated, agitating. Balavat, very, very strong. Dhridam. Dhridam means very determined, very stubborn, obstinate. So mind is not only very fickle, but it is not, it's not something which is weak or it can be easily controlled. Okay, one may say, okay, let it be fickle, but you control it. No, it is extremely strong. Not just strong, it's very obstinate, very stubborn. The more we try to control the mind will rebel. So therefore, tasyaham nigraham. Tasya means of this mind, aham. Nigraham means to subdue or control. Manye, I think. Therefore, to control this mind, I think, he's saying, vayoho means vayoho iva. It is like the wind. Now, again, he is giving another quality of this mind. Sudushkaram. Very, very difficult. Why it is very difficult to control the mind? It is like the wind. Can anyone control the wind? Instead of us being able to even control the wind, what to speak of controlling, we may get blown away. So wind, because wind is very, very strong and no one can control. Similarly, he's comparing the mind also to such a wind because it is very strong and it is very obstinate, stubborn, and it's very restless. So such a mind, how can I subdue, oh Krishna? And you're saying, as if it's very easy. Huh? How do I control such a mind? So I think we have already discussed this, but I want to quickly brush up. What is the position of the mind in the Katha Upanishad and in other sources? The material body, as compared to a chariot. Okay. And who is the passenger in or whatever, some vehicle? And the living entity is actually the passenger. He's just sitting there at the back seat, but there is a driver who's driving this vehicle called the body, and the driver is the intelligence. And so then, if then there is a chariot, there is a driver, then there should be horses. So the senses are the horses. So we have the senses, which are the horses, and 5 senses plus the 6th one is the mind. So now, for the driver to control the horses, he needs a yoke or a rope. So that is nothing but the mind. So mind is like the connection. It's a connection between the intelligence and the senses. So therefore, if the intelligence, along with the help of a peaceful mind and senses which are controlled, then such horses which are nicely being controlled with the help of that yoke, if the driver is driving also nicely, then there'll be no problem. The passenger will also be peaceful. Let's say this driver has no control over the horses or its yoke. That means the horses are running. There are 5 horses. If all 5 horses are running in 5 different directions, can we imagine the plight of the chariot, or what to speak of the passenger? Passenger will be so scared. Then he will not know what to expect, where this whole chariot is going to go end up and where it's going to crash. That's exactly our situation if our mind is not controlled and the senses are also not controlled. With the help of intelligence, we have to control the mind and the senses, and that is possible only by engaging intelligence in studying Shastra, and mind can be purified by mantra. Manaha trayate tri mantra. So what is that mantra? Is the Hare Krishna mantra. By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, mind will become peaceful. Then it will become easy for the horses or the senses to be controlled. But if it was so easy, Arjuna wouldn't have complained. So therefore, now the Lord, let's see what he responds. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, shloka number 35. Asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. So now Krishna is saying, yes, O mighty armed Kaunteya means son of Kunti. Definitely, without a doubt, what you're saying is true. Because it is very, very difficult to control this restless mind. But he says, but it is still possible. It's not like it's impossible. It's very difficult, but it is possible. How? How is it possible to control this mind? By practice and detachment. So, asamshayam means without a doubt, undoubtedly. Mahabaho means, oh, mighty armed. One. So, manaha means the mind. Durnigraham. Nigraha means to control. Durnigraham, when we add the prefix do, means it is very difficult. That is do. So, very difficult to control. Chalam means it's always moving, recurring. Abhyasa means practice. Tu kaunteya. Vairagya means detachment. Cha grishyate can also be controlled. So now let's see why Krishna is saying it is possible to control the mind by practice and by detachment. So practice means practice of regulated devotional service. Regulation means when we follow rules and regulations, there are many do's and don'ts that will help calm the mind. For example, we are told not to eat onion garlic, and we are told not to take coffee, tea, and any kind of intoxication or meat eating, all these, sinful activities, illicit connection. So the four regulative principles are no meat eating, no illicit connection with other people of other gender, no gambling, and no intoxication. So by keeping away from all these sinful activities, what happens is the mind, to a large extent, becomes easier to control the mind. Why? Because by the intake of such substances, the senses will become very agitated. When the senses become agitated, mind will also become agitated. Of course, both get agitated because what food we take or even the subtle sins we do, it will directly affect the mind also. So just like those horses, if someone were to, feed some intoxicating beverage to the horses, what will happen? The horses will go crazy and they will go run here, there. And so the mind can also be not controlled. So similarly, by keeping away from such things or acts which can create agitation in the mind, we are able to a large extent, help subdue the mind. So this is one aspect of practice. Why it requires detachment? Because if someone is very attached to all these things, it's again difficult for him to give it up. So many people, most of us would have been accustomed to at least drinking coffee or tea or taking onion, in some cases even garlic or whatever. But when we understand that these are not good for our spiritual practice, for our own self-interest, it's not good, then we have to immediately stop it. So that requires detachment. So I'm just giving an example. In many ways, we have to practice these rules and regulations. So that is the practice. And also detachment. Detachment, so that means from the sense, detaching the senses from the sense object is one way. And also, when there are trying situations or when there are unfavorable situations, the mind again becomes perturbed. So again, the mind will start agitating, but that's not good for our spiritual growth. So the mind has to be controlled means we should learn to tolerate. So therefore, we have to detach the mind from material allurements, and we have to practice to bring back the flickering mind back to the focus on the Lord. Just give me a minute. Okay, so therefore these two aspects are very important. One is the detachment, so and another is the practice. So we can very easily relate to these two aspects Krishna is talking about in our practice of the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. So we have a prescribed number of rounds to chant every day. That's the practice. So while practicing that, we will always observe that the mind is constantly moving away from its focus. And what is the focus? In fact, when we chant, we should engage our sense of hearing to hear the mantra we are chanting. But the mind is constantly taking our focus away from that. So therefore, we have to bring back the focus onto the chanting of the mantra. So this is the practice. And we have to be detached, because if we are excessively attached to these distracting objects or senses or allurements, then it is very difficult. So what happens then is the mind, let's say, mind is like a continuous train of thoughts. So there will be so many thoughts coming and going. If we are not detached, then we may hold on to some thought, and during our japa we may be contemplating on something, and then the mind will completely take us, derail our attention and focus to something else. So therefore, it requires a lot of practice and detachment in order to subdue the mind. But it will happen over time. It will happen, because when the more mind becomes pure, so it becomes easier. The mind will the flickering and the agitation will definitely come down. So mind originally, we can get this information from Srimad Bhagavatam. So everything we see in this world is made up of one of the three modes of material nature. That means one of the three subdivisions of the material energy, which is what? Sattva guna, Rajoguna, Tamo guna. So the mind is made from Sattva guna, and the intelligence is made of Rajoguna, and so on. So therefore, the original state of mind is that because it is Sattva guna, we call the mind to be contaminated when it has something other than Sattva guna. That means it has Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Because of the effect of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So because of Rajoguna, it is wavering. And Tamoguna makes it very attached to some of these allurements. So, and of course, it blocks our intelligence also. Therefore, the more we practice, in this case, chanting, the more the mind will get purified. Cheto darpana manjanam. So every day we have bath using soap and all that, water. But what is that? What do we have such a cleansing agent to clean the mind? So absolutely nobody in today's day and age talks about cleansing the mind. And therefore, because we have not been cleansing our mind for millions and gazillion lifetimes, our mind has become extremely dirty. It has heaps and heaps and heaps of dirty things, which are all made of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. That's it. Dirt means Rajoguna and Tamoguna. And to be clean means to come to Sattva. So now we need such a scrub, powerful scrub to clean our mind. That is chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. So by practicing this chanting, it will nicely scrub the mind, and over time, when the mind becomes pretty clear, so what will happen? Then it becomes very easy to chant. It won't be so difficult to focus our minds. Until then, it's a struggle. So therefore, until then, we need practice, means bringing the mind back to its focus and detaching ourselves from the allurements of the mind. Okay, next shloka, number 36. असंयतात्मना योगो दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः वश्यात्मना तु यतता शक्यो वाप्तुम् upayatah. So now the Lord continues to say, asamyata, unbridled means atmana, mind, uncontrolled mind. Just like a horse. Bridle means to tie the rope around the horse and to tie it to some anchor somewhere. Let's say we let it loose, the horse will run here, there, out of control. So that kind of a mind which has been not kept under control, for such a mind, if someone has such kind of a mind, yoga means this path of self-realization, dushprapaha. Prapa means to obtain. Do again. The prefix do means very difficult. It's very difficult to become self-realized. It's practically not possible for someone whose mind has not been controlled. But iti me matam, iti me matihi. That means it is my opinion. Krishna is saying it is his opinion. So whose opinion is the highest? The Supreme Lord. Dharmantu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. In fact, whatever the Lord says is actually dharma. Whatever he does is dharma. Because nobody knows dharma better than him, because he's the creator. He has created even dharma, everything has come from him. Therefore, he's saying, it is my opinion. So therefore, we have to take it very seriously. That's why Srila Prabhupada would always condemn this kind of so-called pseudo yoga system in today's day and age. So people think they're doing yoga. I mean, yoga just for maintaining good health and physical exercises, that is different. Okay, that's good for the maintenance of the body. But when people claim that to be all in all, and just by doing some kind of a fake meditation, and they think they have become great yogis, then that's a sham. So that's not good, because that is what Krishna is saying here. Such people, who do not follow any kind of a regulation in their lifestyle, in their food, in their habits or whatever. Most people in the modern world, they don't like to control any of these. For such a person with unregulated lifestyle, as I already mentioned, by eating certain kind of foods or drinking certain kind of drinks and doing certain kind of sinful activities, mind becomes more contaminated. That means mind becomes more fickle and more difficult to control. So by, having such kind of a lifestyle, which in turn makes the mind not peaceful, is absolutely not conducive. So with such a restless mind, how can they practice meditation? Krishna is saying here, that means if the mind is not brought under control, there is no point in practicing any kind of a yoga or a meditation. So of course, even we as sadhakas of bhakti yoga, our mind may not be controlled in the initial stages, but at least we are following the right lifestyle rules and regulations, which will help the mind to become purified. So over time, it will definitely it will make a lot of difference. Therefore, first of all, we have to follow all these rules and regulations and help control the mind and purify the mind. Then it is good. Otherwise, without doing all this, if we simply try to practice so-called yoga or any kind of a yoga, even bhakti yoga, without following rules and regulations, regulative devotional service, we cannot achieve the goal of self-realization. So therefore, now Krishna is saying, Vashya Atmana tu, but, tu means but who has controlled, Vashya means controlled the mind, Atmana means the mind, and who's trying, he whose mind is controlled, and then he is trying by proper sadhana. Yatata means while endeavoring. Shakyaha means it is possible for him. Avaptum upayataha. Upaya means by proper means. He is able to, because his mind is controlled by taking the right process and practicing such a process, devotional service, it is possible to achieve success or self-realization. So Krishna is saying that is my opinion. Okay. Next shloka. Arjuna uvacha ayati shraddhayopeta योगाच्चलित मानसः अप्राप्य योग संसिद्धिं काम गतिं कृष्ण गच्छति. So now Krishna has said, he's spoken about those whose mind is uncontrolled, so there is no question of even practicing any proper self-realization. But for those whose mind is controlled, or at least who's striving to achieve success in this path of yoga, not everybody will achieve success immediately, or maybe even in this lifetime. For everyone has their own unique situation or their own unique individualities, and their own unique aspirations. So even though everybody may be following the same process, but still different people get the success at different rates or different points. For some, they may very quickly come to the perfection. For some, it may take very much longer. So it really depends on the individual. So therefore, now Arjuna is asking, what will happen then to one who has not been able to achieve success in that very life? So Arjuna uvacha, Arjuna said, ayatihi, yati means one who has achieved the perfection. Ayatihi means one who has not succeeded in achieving the spiritual perfection. But he has tried sincerely. Shraddhaya means with faith. Upetaha means he was engaged in practicing what? Yoga. But he may have been practicing with faith for some time. And sometimes what happens? people may get distracted. So he's saying, Yogat Chalita Manasaha. Yogat Chalita. Chalita means he may be deviated from the path of yoga. Manasa means his mind got distracted. Then what happens? Aprapya. Then he has failed to attain the goal. Yoga samsiddhim means the highest perfection. So he has failed to attain the highest goal or the highest perfection in yoga. For such a person, kam gatim, gati means destination. So what is the destination of such a person? O Krishna. Gachati means. So what will happen to him? What does he get? What does he achieve? So this is a very important, very nice question. Everybody, as I said, has their own personal journey of self-realization. So we can't, it's not like rubber stamped. Well, everybody goes to maybe the same school, same teachers, same books, everything is same. But still different people fare differently. Similarly, this is also school of yoga. Some people may drop out in between due to other distractions. So in such a scenario, now Arjuna is asking, what will happen to such a person? Because he may have initially he may have started with good faith, but later on he got distracted because of some material attractions. So it's quite possible it happens. So even in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see case studies of great devotees like that. So now he's asking, what will happen to such a person? So in the next shloka, he's asking, Kachinno bhaya vibhrashtah chinnabhram eva nashyati apratishto mahabaho vimudho brahmana pathi. So he's saying, Kachit, whether or not, no means not, ubhaya, both, vibhrashtah means one who is deviated from the path of yoga. Chinna means tone, abhram means cloud, iva like, nashyati means perishes. So he's asking, oh mighty Aunt Krishna, such a man, now he has strayed away from his path of self-realization because he got bewildered by maybe some material allurements or whatever. So he has strayed away from the path of spirituality. For such a person, what will happen? Will he perish? That means, will he be completely devastated, both spiritually and materially? Because what happens generally is people may be pursuing so many material perfections. It could be to earn more money and do very well in their career or in their own material pursuits. But once a person takes to devotional service very sincerely and seriously, generally they tend to keep all that little aside, and they'll start focusing on achieving the spiritual perfection. So those things may take a back seat. In not every case, but in some of the cases, in devotees who are very, very sincere or who want to progress very fast, or whatever be the case. So such persons, they may have compromised on their material goals also. So, but now they have got distracted from their spiritual goal also. So does that mean they're lost to both ways? So materially also they're failed, spiritually also they have failed. Then what will happen to such a person? So it's a very nice question, full of compassion. Apratishtaha. Pratishtha means to be situated. Apratishtaha means now he has no proper position, either spiritually or materially. Mahapapo. Vimudha means he is now completely bewildered, confused. Brahmanaha Pati. Brahmanaha here means spiritual path. Pati means path. So now he's actually giving a very nice example here. He's talking about a riven cloud. So such a person, Arjuna is asking, because he is fallen away from both spiritual and material success, does he perish like a riven cloud? So what is a riven cloud? We may have come across, so it's a physical phenomenon. Sometimes what happens is, these clouds, they are constantly moving, and there may be a small cloud. Sometimes it small clouds come and join the big cloud to then it will form a bigger cluster. Let's say if a small cloud fails to join a big one, but and when there is a big wind, then it will be blown away. So it could neither sustain as an individual cloud, nor could it join a bigger cloud. Therefore, now a riven cloud will perish. That's a small cloud. It cannot sustain the force of the wind. Similarly, he's saying, so such a person who is both materially, he's weak, spiritually also he's weak. So if he's blown away by some kind of a material allurement, then he's fallen away from the path. What will happen to him? So is that is he defeated in both ways? So next shloka. Etan me samshayam Krishna chetum arhasya sheshatah tadanya samshayasyasya chitta na hyupapadyate. Etat, this is me, my samshayam means this is my doubt, O Krishna. Chetum, chetu means to break or to dispel. Arhasi means it deserves to be, such a doubt of mine deserves to be clarified completely. Asheshataha means completely. Tvat, by you. Anyaha, other. Samshayasya, that means of this doubt. Asya, this one. Cheta, remover. Nahi upapadyate, is to be found. So I have this doubt, O Krishna. Therefore, I'm asking you to completely dispel this doubt, because no one else can dispel such a doubt but you. No one else but you. Because Krishna is the ultimate authority. He is the Supreme Lord, and he knows everything. He knows inside out, past, present, future of all living beings, and he is the foremost well-wisher. And therefore, he can easily clear up any kind of a question by anyone. So now, so Krishna will speak to Arjuna and assure him that the devotee will never perish. So we will continue in our next session. So near